We're going to continue with algebraic fractions, but these examples are going to require you to factorise before we can simplify. So let's look at our first example. So here we're being asked to simplify 3x plus 6 over 12. Previously, we were looking for common factors on the top of our fraction and we were simplifying them or cancelling them out with the factors on the bottom of our fraction. But here, because we have an addition in here, we cannot find a factor as such, and we can only cancel the top and the bottom of our fraction if it is all being multiplied. But this little addition in here is making it difficult for us to do that, and we are unable to simplify the factor from the top and the bottom. So that is why we have to factorise before we do anything. So when we're factorising, so the first thing you need to do is factorise. Okay, and you want to check first, is there a common factor? So remember, in all your levels of factorising, your different methods, so common factor, if it's not a common factor, you want to look for a difference of two squares. And then if it's not either of those things, you want to think about factorising trinomials. So that is your three types of factorising that we're going to be looking at and thinking about when we're doing these questions. So first thing I'm going to think about, is there a common factor? And we are talking about factorising the numerator if necessary, and also then factorising the denominator if necessary. So I'm first going to just consider our numerator. So I've got 3x plus 6 and we are going to factorise that. And first thing we're looking for is a common factor, and yes, there is a common factor of 3. So I'm going to take out a common factor of 3 and fill in our brackets. If you need a reminder of how to factorise, you can just flick through your previous notes to have a wee look at that. So 3x, 3 bracket x plus 2, and it's just a number 12 on the bottom, so we don't need to do any sort of factorising with that. Now we clearly have two terms that are being multiplied together on the top, so 3 times x plus 2, so and 12 on the bottom. So we can now simplify this fraction. And we've got a common factor of 3 on the top, and we've also got a common factor of 3 on the bottom, because we can divide 12 by 3. So we can go ahead and simplify, and I'm going to divide top and bottom by 3. So when I divide the top by 3, that 3 will become a 1, and when I divide the bottom by 3, that 12 will become a 4. So we're dividing top and bottom by 3. Now we can go ahead and type in, write down our answer. So our answer on the top is going to be 1 bracket x plus 2. We don't really need that one, so I'm just going to write x plus 2, which is our bracket. You can leave in the brackets if you want, over 4. And that is our final fully simplified answer. So what we're doing is we are noticing that there is an addition in here, which means we cannot just simply cross out that 6 with the 12 and so on. We must factorise so that we can find a common factor of the entire numerator. So 3 is the common factor, and then we're simplifying it with the 12 on the bottom. So basically what you're doing is you're looking at your numerator and asking, can I factorise it? And also factorising your denominator if necessary. So can you please pause the video here and simplify 4y subtract 8 over 12 using the same method as example 1. Okay, hopefully you've unpaused and managed to give this a go. So the first thing we're going to do is factorise, and thinking about your different levels of factorising. So we're first going to look for a common factor. And the numerator, there's a common factor of 4, so we're going to take that out and have y subtract 2 over 12. And then we can go ahead and simplify this by dividing top and bottom by our common factor of 4. So dividing top by 4 to get 1, bottom by 4 to get 3. Therefore, your final answer, you should have y minus 2 over 3. And remember, you can keep your brackets in if necessary. If you want, sorry, that's absolutely fine to do that. So well done if you got that. Okay, let's look at a second example. Again, simplify x squared subtract 16 over 2x subtract 8. We are going to factorise. So first, always factorise. First step, is there a common factor? So we're thinking about factorising the numerator and then factorising the denominator. If there isn't a common factors, is it a difference of two squares? And if it's neither of those, check for trinomials. It's really important that you are remembering these the steps of factorising and what to look for first before you move on to try another type of factorising. So first one, x squared subtract 16. There is no common factor, but it is a difference because we've got subtract of two squares. X squared is obviously a squared term and 16 is a squared number. So you need to use your knowledge of a difference of two squares. Okay, remember the different signs in each of the brackets. And for the denominator, first thing we always look for is a common factor, and there is a common factor of 2, so I'm going to take that out. And hopefully what's nice about these questions is that you should notice if you've got brackets, okay, one of them should be the same on the top and the bottom. So we're going to use our skills of simplifying fractions that we've covered so far to cancel those two brackets out. And we'll be left with x plus 4 over 2. And remember, you can include your brackets if you want. And that's our final answer. So this time we have used a difference of two squares and also common factor to factorise, and then we've just used our skills of simplifying algebraic fractions to get our final fully simplified answer. So again, if you could pause the video here and give this one a go. Can you please simplify 3x subtract 6 over x squared subtract 4? Okay, so let's go ahead and answer this one. Factorising our numerator first, we've got a common factor of 3, so we want to take that out. And our denominator, there's no common factor, but it is a difference of two squares. So you should have x minus 2, x plus 2, or round the other way. Now we can go ahead and simplify. So we're going to cancel out this bracket x minus 2 with x minus 2. And then we're going to be left with our final answer of 3 on the top over x plus 2 on the bottom. So well done if you got that. Okay, third example. Now we are going to move on to another kind of factorising. So remember, we're always going to factorise or double check to see if we need to factorise first. Common factor, which there, so I'm looking at the numerator first, it's not a common factor. It's clearly not a difference of two squares because we have three terms, but it's worth just considering it, writing it down to make sure you're remembering what different kinds of factorising to look for first. And if it's neither of those, it might be a trinomial. And in this case, this first one is a trinomial. So we're looking for two things, two numbers or terms that multiply together to give us -10 and that add together to give us 3. I'm not going to spend too much time going through the factorising part here because if you need to go over that, you can just go back to your notes. So two numbers that we're looking for are 5 and -2. So x plus 5, x subtract 2. And this is all going to be over, first thing we look for is a common factor, and there's a common factor of 2. So I'm going to take that out. And then again, what's happened quite nicely is we've ended up with two of the same brackets, so we can cancel them using our skills of simplifying. And then we will be left with x subtract 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. It is quite helpful to maybe put the brackets in so you're not tempted to try and cancel out these 2's on the top and the bottom. That is a common mistake that people make, so be really, really careful. So I would maybe recommend keeping the brackets in so you're not tempted to do that. Okay, so if you pause the video here and try to simplify 2x plus 6 over x squared subtract x subtract 12. Okay, let's go over the answer now. So first one, we have a common factor of 2. So you should have 2 bracket x plus 3. And then we have a difference of 2 squares on the bottom. So you should have x plus 3, x plus x negative 4. Because 3 times negative 4 gives you negative 12, and then 3 subtract 4 gives you negative 1. And then what's happened quite nicely is same brackets top and bottom, so we can cancel those out. So you should be left with 2 over x plus 4. So well done if you got that. Okay, on to our last example. This time, hopefully you've noticed, going through your steps of factorising, this one we have trinomials on the top and also on the bottom. We're just going to use the skills that we've learned in the previous 3 examples, and we're just going to factorise the numerator if we can, and then factorise the denominator. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and factorise. So trinomials, 2 numbers at a time together to give you 9. We're going to go for 3 and 3, because 3 plus 3 gives us 6. And then 2 numbers at times together to give us 12, and add together to give us 7 is 3 and 4. And then we notice we have an x plus 3 on the top and an x plus 3 on the bottom. So just be left with x plus 3 over x plus 4. And remember, you don't need to include those brackets in your answer, but if you do, either one is correct. So again, pausing the video here. Can you please use example 4 to help you factorise this? Simplify y squared plus 4y plus 4 over y squared plus 6y plus 8. Okay, let's go over the answer. Hopefully you've unpaused now. So factorising the top is not a common factor. It's clearly not a difference of 2 squares, but it is a trinomial. So we're going for y add 2, because 2 times 2 gives us 4, and 2 add 2 also gives us 4 for our middle term. And then 2 numbers at times together to give us 8, y plus 2, y plus 4, and 2 add 4 gives us 6, so that's correct. And then we've got 2 of the same brackets top and bottom, so we're going to cancel them out, leaving us with y plus 2 over y plus 4. So really well done if you got that correct as well. So when we are doing these questions, what we are focusing on is our factorising skills and also applying our simplifying algebraic fraction skills. So we're looking at our numerators, we're looking at our denominators, and before we start cancelling anything out, check if it can be simplified. And we're looking for a common factor, difference of 2 squares, or trinomials. And once we've factorised the numerator and factorised the denominator, it should fall into place quite nicely to be able to cancel either whole brackets out or, like the first example, the number terms. And once you've done that, just make sure everything has been fully simplified, and that is your final answer.